The soldiers of the 93rd Separate Mechanized Brigade, Kholodnyi Yar, together with other units of the defense forces, repelled one of the largest attacks by Russian invaders in the Bakhmut area. This was reported on the official page of the 93rd Brigade. Also, such units as the Phoenix Special Forces and the 5th Separate Assault Brigade defended the area. The cooperation between all units ensured the stability of the defense, which was an important factor in repelling the attack. The attack took place in the morning, when the enemy, using a dozen armored vehicles and up to 3 platoons of infantry, tried to break through the defense line near the village of Klishchiivka. The enemy used armored vehicles, including BMP-2 infantry fighting vehicles and T-72 tanks, in an attempt to break through the defense. During the first wave of the assault, the invaders suffered heavy losses, as the units of the 93rd Brigade and adjacent units reacted immediately, organizing an effective defense. The assault was repelled by the coordinated efforts of the units, including the crews of the Black Rave Unmanned Systems Battalion, the 2nd and 3rd Mechanized Battalions, the Corvus UAV Platoon, and the 2nd Rifle Battalion. The defense forces quickly destroyed the enemy's equipment. Artillery support also played an important role in neutralizing the enemy's equipment at a distance. After the initial attacks and the defeat of a part of the enemy forces, the tanks and infantry fighting vehicles left without infantry support became an easy target for Ukrainian pilots and artillery. During the 4 hours of fighting, the enemy lost 6 T-72 tanks and 6 BMP-2s. 1 tank was damaged, but remained on the battlefield. The enemy's losses in manpower are being clarified, but it is believed that the enemy had left significant forces on the battlefield, as most of the attackers had been destroyed or forced to retreat. Thanks to the effective use of unmanned aerial vehicles, mines, and artillery support, the attack was repelled, and the defense forces retained control of strategically important areas. Despite heavy losses in equipment, the enemy continues to try to attack these positions, which have been repelled by the defenders. Ukrainian troops are ready for new challenges and continue to effectively hold the line. Thanks to coordinated actions, desperate struggle, and high combat capability of Ukrainian units, the enemy's attempts to advance deeper into Ukrainian territory were stopped. The Russian invaders failed to achieve their strategic goals. This success was the result of several hours of fierce fighting, which showed that the Ukrainian troops, even with the enormous scale of attacks, are able to effectively defend their land and destroy the enemy. A clutch of Russian officers reportedly gathered for a hasty meeting along a road near Tokmak, just 15 miles south of the front line in Russian-occupied southern Ukraine on Friday. What should have been a quick conference between commanders turned into a bloodbath when Ukrainian intelligence detected the gathering, and a high-mobility artillery rocket system opened fire. According to the Ukrainian Main Intelligence Directorate, 5 vehicles burned, and 3 Russian captains died, 1 each from the intelligence, air defense, and infantry corps. It was the second HIMARS strike in 3 days, targeting Russian officers near the front line of Russia's 34-month wider war on Ukraine. A Christmas Day bombardment of a headquarters in the city of Lvov, near the Ukrainian-held salient in western Russia's Kursk Oblast, may have killed or wounded leaders of the Russian 810th Naval Infantry Brigade. This fiery impression is part of the campaign to weaken the capabilities of the enemy army, the Ukrainian Center for Strategic Communications boasted. It makes sense for Ukraine's US-made HIMARS, which fire precision-guided rockets as far as 57 miles, to target the 810th Naval Infantry Brigade. That unit has been at the bleeding edge of Russia's costly counteroffensive aimed at eliminating the 250-square-mile Ukrainian salient in Kursk. It's less obvious why the Ukrainians would assign one of their precious HIMARS to blow up a trio of captains in Zaporizhzhia Oblast in southern Ukraine, a relative backwater now that the fighting has shifted east and north. It's possible Ukrainian planners are trying to prevent the Russians from organizing an offensive in Zaporizhia that, while unlikely to capture much ground given the paucity of Russian forces in the south, could nonetheless compel the Ukrainian General Staff to divert sparse resources away from the east and north. Note the pattern of Ukrainian raids in the south. In addition to striking that meeting of captains, the Ukrainian Intelligence Directorate and Special Operations Command may have sent saboteurs to blow up a critical railroad through Tokmak on December 15, reportedly destroying a fuel train in the process and disrupting Russian logistics in the area. By targeting critical command and logistical infrastructure, Ukrainian forces could defeat a possible southern offensive by Russian forces before it even begins. Given good intelligence, it's much easier to prevent an attack with a few precision strikes than to meet it soldier for soldier, tank for tank on the battlefield.
Снаряд пошел в ствол. Орудие.
Святое Печора, М109, огонь открыл.
Пострел!